somewhere in northern Europe, 10,000 years ago. A child was born with something that had never existed before in the entire history of our species. Not a new tool, not a new language, not a new way to hunt, just eyes, a different color. And that child had no idea that every single person on Earth today who has blue eyes, every one of them, carries that exact same mutation. One person, one accident, billions of eyes. Look in the mirror right now. If your eyes are blue, you are a direct biological descendant of that one individual, not metaphorically, genetically. The same mutation, copied and passed down for 10,000 years, is sitting in your DNA at this exact moment. If your eyes are brown, you carry the original version, the one that worked for 2 million years without needing to change. The version that crossed deserts, survived ice ages, and outlasted every other human species on this planet. Your eye color is not a cosmetic detail. It is a historical document. So how is it possible that every blue eye on Earth traces back to one single person? And why, if brown eyes worked perfectly for 2 million years, did this mutation survive at all? Why didn't it just disappear? The way most random mutations do? The answer reveals something deeply unsettling about how evolution actually works, and about how much of who you are today was decided by pure accident. Before we go further, we need to be honest about what science actually knows here, and what it doesn't. We know with reasonable certainty that blue eyes appeared between 6 and 10,000 years ago. We know the mutation happened in a gene called OCA2, and genetic evidence strongly suggests all blue-eyed humans share a single common ancestor. What we do not know, and science has no definitive answer for this, is exactly why this mutation spread so successfully. There are hypotheses, there are theories, but there is no settled consensus. And that uncertainty, as we'll see, is just as important as the facts. For almost the entire history of Homo sapiens, for at least 300,000 years, every human being on Earth had dark brown eyes. This wasn't random, it was functional. The pigment that gives eyes their color is called melanin. And melanin does something critical. It protects the retina from ultraviolet radiation. In sub-Saharan Africa, where our species was born and lived for hundreds of thousands of years, that protection wasn't optional. It was survival. Dark eyes weren't a racial characteristic. They were a biological solution to a specific environmental problem, not heritage. Engineering. Then something changed. As human populations began migrating north, into Europe, into regions with shorter days, longer winters, and dramatically less intense sunlight, the environmental pressure that kept eyes dark began to relax. And somewhere between 6 and 10,000 years ago, in a single individual living near what is now the Baltic Sea, a mutation switched off part of the melanin production in the eyes. The result was blue. That person survived. That person reproduced. And the mutation began to spread. Here is where science gets honest. One hypothesis is that lighter eyes offered a genuine advantage in low-light environments, improving vision during the long, dark winters of northern Europe. Some research suggests this. The data is not conclusive. Another hypothesis is that the mutation was simply neutral in that environment, neither helpful nor harmful, and spread by what we call genetic drift. Pure chance. The right people survived the right winters and passed it on. A third hypothesis, more controversial, involves sexual selection. In small populations, rare traits can become attractive simply because they are rare. Something unusual becomes something desirable. The mutation spreads not because it helps you survive, but because it makes you more likely to find a mate. Maybe better vision, maybe pure luck. Maybe attraction to the unusual. Probably all three in ways we still cannot fully untangle. There is a condition called heterochromia, where each eye is a different color. It affects less than 1% of the human population. It happens when melanin is distributed unevenly between the two eyes during development. It is not a disease. It is not a defect. It is simply the same genetic system, running two slightly different versions of itself in the same person. But here is something even stranger. Eye color can change throughout a person's life. Many babies are born with lighter eyes that darken significantly in the first years of life as melanin production increases. The eyes you have today are not necessarily the eyes you were born with. Your eye color right now is not fixed. It is a process that started before you were born and continued without you knowing. We still don't fully understand why green eyes exist, a separate and curious distribution of intermediate melanin concentrated in parts of the Middle East, Central Asia, and Northern Europe. We still don't understand the full relationship between eye color and pain sensitivity, light sensitivity, and temperature perception. Some studies suggest connections that remain scientifically unresolved, and we will never know the name of the person whose eyes started all of this. That person lived and died 10,000 years ago, almost certainly unaware that anything unusual had happened at all. It is tempting to conclude that blue eyes represent an evolutionary advantage, a superior adaptation to Northern European environments. That conclusion is dangerous if we make it too simple. Brown eyes remain the most efficient version for the majority of environments on this planet. Blue eyes are a regional variation, functional in certain latitudes, neutral or mildly disadvantageous in others. Evolution has no preferences, no direction, no concept of better or worse. It is only what works, here, now, under these specific conditions. Brown eyes are not primitive. Blue eyes are not advanced. Both are different answers to the same question. How do you survive on a planet with wildly different amounts of sunlight depending on where you are standing? One answer emerged 2 million years ago and still covers most of the world. The other emerged 10,000 years ago in one person near a cold sea, in a winter we will never see. When you look in the mirror today, you are looking at 10,000 years of history compressed into 2 centimeters. You are seeing where your ancestors stood, how much sun they faced, which path they took when they left Africa and began the long, improbable journey that somehow ended with you standing here. It's unsettling to think that one random mutation in one person, who survived by luck or by advantage or by something we still cannot fully explain, is looking back at you right now. We are not the last humans because we were the best. We are the last humans because we were the ones who stayed, and every feature of our body carries the story of how that happened. Your eyes are just the beginning. You just learned what your eye color says about where your ancestors survived. Next, what does the shape of your face say about who they were?